I don't want to equate our movement today to what happened in the 60s. But as I look up here and one of these things says separate and unequal, right? That's really kind of how I'm feeling today, as they're erasing us with a very similar conversation that was had in the 60s. And it wasn't about restrooms then, and it's not about restrooms now. And then particularly when they're targeting our youth. And how are our youth supposed to be going to the restroom? You know, can you talk about that and what your feelings about, like, what is this saying? What is this message of you can't do this, sending to yourself, to our community, to the youth out there?
When these legislatures are saying, well, these kids have to do X, Y, and Z, it's singling them out, right? We already are aware of an issue of bullying that's happening in schools. And now the adults are the ones who are being the bullies and saying, well, you're different, so you need to use this restroom. And it really, what it should be is anyone that has a problem with the transgender kid using the correct restroom, that child is the one that needs to be using a separate restroom, because they're the one that's making the issue out of it.
With trans kids, what we see is why all of these, I guess, issues with depression and such, it's not so much that they're trans, it's that they're separated already because they know who they are. And often, I think their friends innately know who they are. I grew up in a very small town. All my friends were predominantly boys. They recognized who I was as a person. Then it comes into play that there's some confusion of, well, why can't you do that? So when we talk about, you know, kids see their friend, they do, but I think that there is a definite recognition of gender, where you'll hear like little boys say like, yeah, like I don't want to play with her, that's a girl. But often it's not because of what's going on biologically, it's interest. Like a little boy doesn't want to go play with a little girl, not because of a bathroom that their friend uses, it's because their friend wants to play Barbies with them and they have no interest in that. I think when we talk about legislature that targets kids that are already at risk, and many families aren't going to support their kids that are trans, and unfortunately that's just the reality of it. And so when we do have these kids that have supportive families that recognize their child and allow them to be authentic, then school and government steps in and says, but no, just kidding. Like, it takes away a parent's ability to be a parent, to recognize who they know their child to be.
It really hits me today as we're sitting here and we're doing something that we're entitled to do as people who live in the state of Texas. And they're basically saying this building is no longer for you. And for somebody like you, as you're talking about with your race, and obviously for you, race comes first. People see the color of your skin differently than they see the color of my skin. And what that tells you, but also what is it telling our transgender sisters? These bills are targeting them and targeting our non-conforming or non-binary siblings or anybody who's masculine of a center and who identifies as a female. We're really policing a gender expression as well as just kind of trying to negate trans folks from the way of life.
Yeah. We're erasing every safe space that we think exists. I mean, where do we get privacy? Where do we get safety? And it is a target. And no matter how we try to word it, no matter how many times the language is changed, when you keep inserting certain language in something, it is targeting, no matter what you say. And because specific language is continuously used, that is why and how we know it is targeting a set class of people.
Discrimination is not a Texas value. Embrace dignity and respect for every Texan. Join Equality Texas.